Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we've got 7 new cards to look at today, including some pretty powerful ones that Blizzard has introduced into the game. So let's get straight into it, and we're going to start with a mage card called Tolan Pilgrim. It's epic, it's 8 mana, it's 5/5 in stats, so weak stats for that mana cost. But it has the battle cry of discover a copy of a spell in your deck and cast it with random targets. I think this is a very good card. I don't know whether it goes into any mage decks right now. This is a card that would go into a control mage deck though, and if you're looking at playing Reno Jackson and you're only having 1 copy of a spell in your deck, this is a good way to potentially get 2 copies of the spell for you to play. The problem being that you can't play it till turn 8, and then of course you might have already drawn that spell, so there may be no spells left in your deck, or there might not be the spell that you actually want to get out of your deck. So that's the downside, but I don't think you need to play it in a singleton deck. I think you could play this in a deck that runs 2 copies of Flamestrike, 2 copies of Blizzard, and Mage, and because it's a spell that you've put in your deck, it's theoretically going to be a good one. You don't want to put bad spells in your deck. So it has that advantage of just playing a spell that you're going to want to play at some point in the game anyway. You get to discover it, so you get to pick which one for the situation, and it should be a good one. It's not random in that respect. Now, what sort of targets would you want to hit with this? Well, Luna's Pocket Galaxy is a very good target with this. So Luna's Pocket Galaxy costs 5 mana, and people are already playing it. If you can play that on turn 5 in Conjurer's Calling Mage, then it's very strong. So this would mean you wouldn't be playing it until turn 8, but it might be worth it, because if you could play a 5/5 down on the board with it, then it's pretty good, because you don't lose too much tempo. On the same token, you could play this and discover a Flamestrike and play it, because Flamestrike isn't randomly cast, it's always cast on your opponent's board. Same with Blizzard, same with Frostnova. So there's lots of good kind of options you could have, and you know, you can limit it. It casts it at random targets, but you could limit the randomness by the way that you build your deck around this. So I think it's quite good. You wouldn't want to pick Conjurer's Calling off of this unless it's the only card on the board. So if you played this and you get Conjurer's Calling in your discovery, you might want to play it, because it's guaranteed to hit this if your opponent hasn't got any minions on the board either. And then you summon 2 8/8s, which is fantastic. And not only that, once you've played this card, the next turn it is a good target for Conjurer's Calling on your own. So I don't know whether this would actually go into the current Conjurer's Calling Mage deck, just because it is quite slow. But it is a good target to do that on, and it's a good way for you to discover freeze effects. So Frostnova, for example, or Blizzard, which are very, very important in the Mage mirror matches. So I like this card. I think it's really cool. Great way to play extra copies of spells for Mage. And I think it's quite well statted. I like the fact that it's 8 mana and not cheaper than that, because it comes out later in the game. So I expect this one to see some play. It's a very good card. Next we move on to Rogue, and we've got Hooked Scimitar, which is a 3 mana 2/2 weapon, but it does have the combo of gain plus 2 attack. Now I don't think this card's particularly good, because when you think about it, you could just play Waggle Pick, which is the same thing, but you're guaranteed to get it for 4 mana, and you have the benefit of the Death Rattle, which has proven to be very good over this previous expansion. But this does have a little bit of potential in purely aggro decks, I think, and pirate decks, that type of thing, because with the coin you can play this on turn 2. So that is very powerful to have a 2 mana well, it's not 2 mana, but you can play it with the coin on turn 2 to have a 4/2 weapon that you can just go face. That is very strong. It's also, if you're playing a deck that's very aggressive and wants to have a weapon that you can upgrade, this is probably a good option. So maybe it will see play. I think it has to be pretty good to be played ahead of Waggle Pick. Like I said, it's only if you want it to come out earlier and you can upgrade it with Green Skin or with Deadly Poison, that kind of thing, that I would think this would see play. Not very exciting card to me, but I think it could find a place in the meta. It just needs to purely be in aggro decks, to be honest. And this next card is very interesting for Rogue. I don't think it's very good though. It's called Whirl Kick Master, an epic 2 mana minion, and it's very much like Lyra the Sunshard, but in a bad way. It's got 1 attack and 2 health, so this is not the sort of minion you want to be playing as Rogue with these stats. It's too slow for Rogue, it's not very good, but it does have the effect of whenever you play a combo card, add a random combo card to your hand. It's a permanent effect, so if this survives on the board, you can do it for more than 1 turn. It's only got 2 health, so it's not very hard to kill. but that is a factor. The problem is at the moment there's 12 combo cards in the game, and they're adding the scimitar, which I just explained before, which is so it makes it 13 combo cards. There may be more to come in the expansion, and it's kind of a mixed bag as to what you would want to get from this. I mean, obviously some of the strongest rogue cards like Eviscerate, Edwin Van Cleef, Cold Blood, they're all combos, so you can get SI7 agent. But sometimes you're going to get things like the Kidnapper, which is the 6 mana 5/3, which combo return a minion to its owner's hand. You might get Headcrack, which can be good or can be bad. You could get the Crazed Chemist, which is the 5 mana 4/4, give them minion +4 attack. Ultimately, they're not going to be bad cards, but they might not synergize with what you're trying to do. Another card that's going to be pretty much always good is the Evil Miscreant, because that's a combo card you could get from this. So I don't think it's very good. I don't see Rogue wanting to use this, but it does have a very powerful effect that you'll keep an eye on. The more that expansions that come into the game, while this is available in Standard, you'll keep looking at combo cards and consider whether or not this would be worth it. But I don't think Rogues need that sort of card generation. It just seems too slow to me. There'll be instances where you can play this and it wins you the game, right? Definitely. But I just think there's too much randomness and too many better ways for Rogue to win the game than to use the World Kick Master. If you use it on turn 2, it probably dies and then you're really struggling. If you play it on turn 3, what sort of combo cards are you going to play without the coin? Turn 4, 5, 6, yes, you could get some value out of this. Maybe you play this with an Eviscerate and then you get another combo card back to your hand. But I don't know. We'll see. I honestly don't think this fits into any Rogue decks right now, but it is a cool card. It's pretty fun, and it'd be nice to randomly get this generated off of your lackeys, the one that evolves. Maybe you can evolve into this, and occasionally you'll just get some good benefits. So yeah, pretty nice, but not really one I think we'll see a lot of play. Now let's look at an epic shaman weapon called Splitting Axe. It's 4 mana, 3 attack, 2 durability, with the battle cry of summon copies of your totems. So initially you look at this, the stats of the weapon are pretty bad. For 4 mana, you would expect it to have at least 1 more attack, like the Waggle Pick in Rogue. And also these stats, you probably think it would be 3 mana. So what are you getting for this extra 1 mana? You're summoning copies of your totems. Well, this isn't a very good effect, to be honest, but I think there is possibilities where it could be good. Now, summoning copies of your standard totems you get from your hero power is never really going to be that great. You have to supplement that with other cards. Now, there are some other totems in Standard right now. There's a Serpent Ward that does 2 damage at the end of the turn to the enemy hero. There's the Flame Tongue totem, which would be excellent to duplicate because they buff each other and other cards. And there's also the Mana Tide totem, which helps you to draw more cards. So if you're summoning copies of those, you can see some interesting effects. There's also the Totem Cruncher, which destroys all your totems and you gain +2/+2 for each one that you've killed. That's a terrible card because summoning lots of totems hasn't been very easy. Potentially this helps you to do that. There's also in Shaman 2 cards which I think will be the most likely to where you want, or maybe even 3, but that are most likely to help you here. Bloodlust and also the Stormbringer. Both of those cards are very good if you've got lots of weak minions on the board, such as totems. So those are sort of the aims that you're looking for with that sort of deck. They're also adding the Evil Totem in this expansion along with the Splitting Axe, and that would be a very good card to duplicate. And that is at the end of your turn, add a random lackey to your hand. So you can see if you get copies of that, then you're going to be starting generating more token minions that you can put onto the board. They can evolve your totems, deal more damage for you, discover you more spells like Bloodlust, etc. You could play Soul of the Murlocs on it, and then you've got a good Stormbringer or you've got a good Bloodlust target. So that's kind of the aims that you would go for this deck. Honestly, I don't see it being better than Murloc Shaman or better than Control Shaman, so it might not be played, but I think it could be quite fun. I'm trying to work out if it does. I think what they do need is some more ways to buff the attack of your totems, because at the moment it's not really very strong. Next, let's take a look at 2 pretty good cards for Mage, and these cards are both linked to secrets. This is a 5 mana 4/4 minion, so slightly weak stats. It's an elemental that has a huge battle cry. If you control a secret, deals 6 damage. So 5 mana to do 6 damage. The fireball costs 4 mana. So you're getting a 1 mana 4/4 along with that. But the tempo of it is just incredible. Being able to play this on turn 5 and clear pretty much whatever your opponent's played at 1 minion is very good. I think if you're playing a secret Mage deck, then this is something you'll want to play. Mage does have support for secrets. There is Subject 9 still in the game where you can draw a bunch of secrets. Problem is that's a legendary, so there's only one copy that can go into your deck. But I think what the secret deck is missing at the moment is the Arcanologist, which was in Journey to Unguru. 2 mana card which drew a secret. And you know, when Secret Mage was very good, that was a huge part of that deck because they play that on 2. They have their Kirin Tor Mage on 3 that plays the secret that they drew for 0 on turn 3 as well. And it just makes the whole thing more consistent. I don't think they have enough ways to consistently draw secrets at the moment. But if they do, Cloud Prince is an incredible card to go into that. It's very, very strong. Firelands Portal was a 7 mana spell that dealt 5 damage and you summoned a 5-cost minion. Well, this is a 4/4 dealing 6 damage. I think is very good. It can also go face, so that is something also very important to consider. And you could even play 2 in the same turn to do 12 damage face. So yeah, pretty solid card. But Mage at the moment, it's not going to slot into the decks that Mage are playing right now. Because really secrets are a kind of a fringe part of those decks now. This really needs to focus on a solid secret deck. So that will determine whether or not it sees play. This next card as well is after you play a secret, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. So this is another huge effect just for playing a secret, which you want to play anyway. So it's called Arcane Flak Mage, 2 mana, 3 attack, 2 health. It costs 5 mana to do a combo which will deal 2 damage to all enemy minions and give you a secret and a 3/2 body. So if you combine all that together, yes, it's very good for 5 mana. But it is a 2-card combo, which is always harder to do because you have to have those 2 cards in your hand. And dealing 2 damage to all enemy minions may not be enough to even do very much. Yes, it would be good against Token Druid, but it's not very good against single targets, like if somebody's building a big mech, for example. But again, it's another strong support card for Secret Mage. I think both of these together give you some pretty huge effects, and actually putting 2 of these in your deck for both copies gives you kind of like an incentive to kind of move towards playing a Secret Mage. I still don't think at the moment it's going to be better than a Cyclone Mage, but maybe you could play Cyclone in a deck like this because Cyclone can of course randomly generate you new secrets. So maybe there is some kind of Mage deck that will help to build that towards it. But you do need to focus on having a lot of secrets. And at the moment, now that they've lost a Luneth and they also don't have the Arcanologist, at the moment there's only Subject 9, which of course is a fantastic card in a secret deck. But it's not consistent enough to make that work. So we'll see whether they can actually get the card draw they need to work in this kind of secret Mage deck. But if they do, then I like these 2 cards. I think they're pretty good. Finally for today, let's take a look at Ankor the Buried. This is a 5 mana legendary minion for Rogue. It has 5 attack and 5 health, so a little bit slow the turn you play it, but it has a very powerful battle cry, which is change each Death Rattle minion in your hand into a 1/1 that costs 1. So this has got loads of potential to it. Ultimately, what you're doing is you're removing the stats from your Death Rattle minions and the mana cost. So what you want to do with that is play expensive Death Rattle minions with powerful Death Rattle effects for very cheap. And Rogue's got loads of good ways to exploit that. Necrean Blade and Necrean Vial are fantastic cards to be able to use with this. But the problem with Necrean Vial is it costs 5 mana. So it's very difficult to play with Death Rattle sometimes because it gives your opponent an opportunity to deal with the Death Rattle before you can play the Necrean Vial. Well, now if your minion's only a 1/1 that costs 1, you can actually play the Necrean Vial on the same turn very, very easily. So I can see some very powerful plays with this card. I don't know whether Rogue specifically needs this. Now, one archetype that's going to come out of this, I imagine, I can't see why not, is Mecha'thun Rogue. I really hope this isn't too good. I do like Mecha'thun, I just don't like it being at the top of the meta where everyone plays it. And the reason it could be very good here is because you can eliminate one of the problems of Mecha'thun, which is killing it on your turn. And if you make it into a 1/1, all you need to is a backstab. You just need 1 backstab, and then you can kill Mecha'thun and then win the game. And it's especially bad in Rogue because all they need to do is draw Ankor, backstab, and Mecha'thun. Draw those 3 cards. Then you can play Myra's Unstable Element, kill the rest of your deck, which is half of the problem. Then if you've got any other Death Rattle minions in your hand, after you've played Ankor, they only cost 1 anyway, so they're easy to get rid of. Maybe you've got some smaller spells to get rid of as well. It's not too difficult to see a fairly consistent Mecha'thun deck. So I hope that doesn't become too big, but I think it probably will. But where I'm quite excited to play with this card is with huge Death Rattles like Deranged Doctor. He's a 8 mana, 8/8 that restores 8 health to you. Restoring 8 health to a rogue is very good, and being able to play a 1 mana card that does that is also very good. Now, you do have to have other cards to support this, but I think with cards like the Necrean Vial, it really can be positive. And probably the card with the biggest potential here is going to be Myra of Offspring's very good in this deck, but the one with the biggest potential will be the Mechanical Whelp, which is a 6 mana 2/2 summon, Death Rattle, summon a 7/7. So you can see, instead of playing a 6 mana 2/2, you just play a 1 mana 1/1 with exactly the same Death Rattle. And if you play Necrean Vial on that, then you get 2 7/7s, plus you've still got a 1/1 with that Death Rattle on there. You could even play your Necrean Blade as well on the same turn and just get a huge amount of 7/7s. So I can see a lot of potential with this. And I mentioned before, while looking at some of the removal cards in this expansion, it looked like they were aimed at Death Rattles, particularly the Priest one, the Priest Plague, which silences and removes all enemies or all minions from the board. So that is kind of aimed at this, I would imagine. Also, Earthquake, which wouldn't do very well against the Mechanical Whelps, but Earthquake and Shaman seem like a Death Rattle type AoE effect. So yeah, maybe we'll see some other big Death Rattles which can be synergized together with this. But a really cool card, I think. Anytime a Death Rattle gets added in future expansions, you're going to look at Ankor the Buried and think, how can we fit this into Rogue? So yeah, I'm excited to play with this one. Rogue's got some really fun archetypes to play with. Even though Tess and Thief Rogue wasn't perfect in the last expansion, it was still pretty good. And I don't really enjoy the face rogue, tempo rogue type stuff, but with Tack Whisker, which you could use Tack with this card as well, because you could play a card, Togwaggle's Scheme for 1/1, shuffle a bunch more into your deck, and then get a bunch of that Death Rattle in your hand as well, and just do all these cool stuff with. Tack's probably not a priority for that deck, but it'll be fun. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing this one in Rogue. It seems really, really cool. Alright guys, well that's all the cards we got to look at today. Some really cool ones. Blizzard has announced some powerful cards over the last couple of days, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about all these cards, and I'll see you tomorrow in the next video.